The Obama administration has consistently blocked American energy production that would lower cost and create jobs in our country.
Well, that's House Speaker John Boehner launching a pre-attack on what is supposed to be President Obama's talk this afternoon about rising energy prices. But of course, we know, John Carl, he's also going to be talking about what's going on in Japan.
There's no question Japan's going to be first and foremost in what the president's talking about. But also, there is nothing more important politically going into any kind of a campaign than gas prices. And you will certainly hear the president continue to talk about what he's going to do about rising gas prices. Top Line begins right now.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to ABC's Top Line. I'm Amy Walter.
And I'm Jonathan Karl.
Every day, noon Eastern Time, we bring you the latest in politics. You can follow us on the Twitters at Amy E. Walter and at John Karl. John Karl, up there on Capitol Hill, what's your top line of the day today?
You know, it's actually far away from Capitol Hill, but it's Mitch's pitch. Very interesting developments here. Mitch Daniels, the governor of Indiana, is somebody that a lot of Republicans around here are very excited about possibly running for president. But the conventional wisdom has been that Daniels would forego a chance to run for president this time around. But now, Amy, look what Mitch Daniels is doing this weekend. Tomorrow, he is making an appearance at the Gridiron, the famous dinner here with journalists, of course, in Washington, a pretty high profile, even if it is away from the cameras, high profile with a very important crowd in Washington. And then on Sunday, he's going to appear on Meet the Press. Could Mitch Daniels now be once again seriously looking at actually jumping into this race?
And there are a lot of political columnists who'd like to see him do that. David Brooks, George Will have weighed in saying that they really want him to run. So we'll see, maybe he'll get another push off camera this weekend. All right, coming up next, Senator Claire McCaskill, Democrat from Missouri, is in hot water today after Politico reported and McCaskill spokeswoman confirmed that she billed taxpayers for purely political travel on a private plane co-owned by her family. That's a violation, of course, of congressional ethics rules. And Republicans are already pouncing. John, this was going to be a top target for the Senate in 2012. She's obviously up this year, and they believe they have an opportunity now to undercut her good government, do-gooder image.
Yeah, there's a whole series of problems here. I mean, one is that, you know, obviously you mentioned the connection, to the company that they were using and her husband. But at first, the suggestion was that this was official congressional travel. Now it turns out that at least some of it appears to have been purely political travel, the kind of thing that you don't get reimbursed for regardless of who owns the planes. So we'll see how Claire McCaskill handles this. Clearly destined to be a top-tier Senate race regardless. Next up, Hawkeye test. Let's talk about another potential Republican presidential prospect here, Haley Barbour of Mississippi. He is going to be going to Iowa, a pretty high-profile appearance there next week. The question is, will his brand of Mississippi politics and Washington insiderdom play well out in the heartland? This will be a critical test for him as he decides whether or not he is going to be running for president. What do you think?
Yeah, and John, you know what he's also doing, sort of very quietly and behind the scenes, but staffing up in places like Iowa and also some national figures. So even though he's not an official candidate right now, it's clear that he's trying to gauge just how serious he'll be taken in some of these early states. And finally, rawhides rise. Well, there's some amazing audio that came out today from Secret Service tapes moments after Ronald Reagan was shot. Here, take a listen to these.
Advise when shots fired. Shots fired. There are some injuries. Lay one on. Back to the White House. Back to the White House. Rawhide is okay. Roger, we want to go to the emergency room of George Washington. George Washington fast.
Yeah, and John, as you know, that obviously early on they were not concerned about President Reagan right there, thinking that he was fine, the bullet never hit him, and they're going to just go back to the White House. And then, oops, figured maybe they should make a detour, and very quickly to the hospital.
Yeah, the tapes are really riveting, and this is the first time we knew that they were initially going to take him right back to the White House again because they thought he hadn't even been hit. And Amy, you know, it ended up being only 4 minutes between the time he was hit by those bullets and arriving at the hospital. But you can imagine if they had taken a separate turn and they had gone to the White House first, he might not have survived. So fascinating stuff. But
amazing.
We are joined right now from New York by Michael Cohen, Executive Vice President to the Trump Organization, Chief Counsel to Donald Trump himself, and somebody who is, we're very excited to joining us here because he's also involved in the draft Trump movement. Welcome to Topline, Mr. Cohen.
Amy, John, how are you?
We're doing great. I saw you had a very interesting trip out there to Iowa to test the waters of a possible Trump run. What was your sense? You met with the chairman of the party out there. You met with some other activists.
Yes, I did.
Is there an appetite for a Trump campaign?
Well, let me start by saying that I went out to Iowa on behalf of a website that I created with a gentleman named Stuart Rahr called shouldtrumprun.com. And we're an independent website of like-minded individuals, and there's now over 540,000 people on the website that all want to see somebody with some business sense join the race in 2012. The one thing that's lacking right now is really some business sense.
But
all right,
what was the feedback you got?
Yeah.
What was the feedback you got? Did you hear encouraging signs out there? Do they want him to run in Iowa?
Well, as you know, I met with Matt Strawn, the chair of the GOP, and he's a fabulous guy. Very, very interested in seeing someone like Donald Trump enter the race. I then met with 18 GOP. It was an exhausting day. I met with 18 GOP operatives, grassroots organizers, finance people, campaign finance individuals, operatives, you name it. I met with 18 people, and every one of them expressed not just an interest, but a fervent desire to see somebody like Donald Trump join the race in hopes that we can turn this country around, because right now we're really not in good shape.
Michael, you obviously know Donald Trump a lot better than the rest of us, but from what I see of him on television, I'm still having a hard time picturing him actually going out and pressing the flesh in Iowa, going to the farms and to those sorts of events where you're going to be really getting in and getting dirty. Is he going to do something? Is he going to do stuff like that?
Well, Iowa is a very interesting place. Again, I learned a lot of information about the Iowa caucus process. He's going to have to. Anybody who wants to win Iowa is going to have to do exactly that. You're going to have to go. You're going to have to shake a lot of hands. You're going to do a lot of travel. You're going to sit in Grandma Tilly's house, have a little apple pie with her, and you're going to understand exactly the concerns that the people in Iowa have, and that's the only way to win Iowa. And as we all know, Iowa is the first stop to becoming the president of this great country.
Okay, we don't have really much time left. Bottom line, do you think he runs?
You know, I certainly hope so. He's made it clear that he's not going to announce whether he will or he won't run until June. I truly hope that he does. Many people have expressed their same hope, and I think the country really needs to stand behind somebody like Donald Trump. Come to shouldtrumprun.com. Join the movement, join the grassroots organization, and let's convince him that we need him to put his business acumen and his business negotiation skills to work for the rest of us.
All right, Michael Cohen, thanks for joining us here on Topline.
Thank you so much, both of you. Have a good day.